just know that
Um,
I just wish that I could feel better too. So
well, hey, dude, that's
yeah,
part of the fight here, and I'm
yeah.
happy, ladies and gentlemen. It is live
Oh
on
yeah,
today's good or not Good Friday. It's Black Friday, right? Which
it is.
I don't know. Did you go out and do anything today, Black Friday shopping wise?
No, I didn't. It's actually pretty snowy here in Colorado today, and I just man, I woke up today and I felt really like, oh my goodness, I slept last night, and then the rest of the day started going on, and I just couldn't get the energy again today. Trying to do what I can, but my family, they didn't want to go black shopping either. It's or Black Friday shopping. It's kind of a mess here in Colorado whenever that happens. So
For sure. And like I
yeah,
say, it's not worth the stress. We live in the Amazon era. So
right, right.
everything is the way it should be, I think. And I didn't go out and do anything today either myself, but ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even say,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
very honored today. My guest, this is his third appearance on Keeping It
is it the
Rio.
third appearance? Wow.
And this ties you with two legendary guests who have also had three appearances, which is Billy Batt. I don't know if you
Oh
know
yeah,
Billy
I
Batt
know
or not, but
Billy.
he's
Yeah.
over there in Canada. And Tim Brown. Tim
Oh
Brown was
wow.
recently on at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was his
Yeah.
third appearance with me. Today, making his third appearance, my friend TJ McCormack, the world's greatest roofer. TJ,
Awesome, man.
thank you for
Yeah.
being here, buddy. Let's see. We got
Yeah.
some comments coming in. That's
Oh
another
right.
cool thing about it being live. Oh, my
Yeah.
comment is just me shilling for money
Oh
right here. You
right.
can support me by
You can
sending
support
stars.
me.
I got excited though, but I do a live video and I had to make sure real quick in the intro that I have this
Yeah.
privacy right because we did a live one probably, I don't know, 5, 6 months ago. And it was awesome, but I couldn't figure out why nobody was watching until I
Yeah.
watched the end and I realized I had it set on privacy mode for just me.
Yeah.
So the public sees our deal today. So
That's
TJ,
good.
man,
Yeah.
it's the Thanksgiving holiday.
It is.
Obviously, a lot of stuff's going on in the world, a lot of stuff's going on professionally, personally, and all that.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of have a different podcast today, and I thought it was
Yeah.
cool when we reached out the other day, and you were like, "Dude, let's have one where we don't talk about roofing." And I
Yeah.
think that's awesome because honestly, that's what we talk about all the time, and that
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit about that. Honestly, at some point, you just want to have something else. So
Right.
let's just talk about stuff that's going on outside of roofing, man. Number
Yeah.
one, you kind of touched on it a little bit, my friend, and I told you right beforehand that this was something I wanted to approach kind of early into our conversation because I want to give it as much time as you want.
Yeah.
The lack of energy that you're having, you've been on social media, you're one of the most visible guys, not just in the industry, but at this point, like
Yeah.
in social media, really, and we follow and see what's going on. You and I are personal friends and have been
Yeah.
for years. And, I've been feeling kind of bad because I've seen the last couple months you've kind of, had some posts that were a little bit not super happy. And I can tell
Yeah.
that, some things aren't going the way that they should be with you. So
Yeah.
you
For
mentioned not
sure.
having any energy and you kind of told me about it. So
Yeah.
let's talk, man. What's up with you, TJ? How
Yeah,
you doing,
man.
my friend?
Real quick, you have Roofer on your thing as one of your sponsors, and I'm so excited for
I
you for
do.
that. And much love out to Roofer. We said we were going to talk about roofing, but we can talk about the time had come for me to step aside and to do something different in my own life. Richie, everybody at Roofer, not one person do I have a negative thought towards. Everybody was great to me, even up until my last day. But like we were just talking about, man, for the last 6 months, I've been going through it. I never would have thought that. I've been having symptoms for over a year. August of 2022, I remember being in Pittsburgh with John Bros and Ugly Roof, and I had an episode in a hotel room where I had a panic attack. And I called Karina and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm having a panic attack," right? But I didn't realize really that I was having a panic attack then. But fast forward up until when we were doing the Rise shows, and we were traveling a lot. And a lot of people in this industry will tell you that if you travel too much or you don't take enough time for yourself, that shit catches up to you. And it's not just about physical health; it's also about mental health. and psychological, everything psychologically that is going on with you, both positively, mentally, or positively, negatively, all occurs from your mental state, right? And so I started getting really sick, and I couldn't understand why I was sick. And so I did what everybody told me that I needed to do, and that was go to the hospital or go to the doctor to try to figure it out. And it was hard to hear coming from a doctor that I was having some issues that required me to get some help, and because it was beyond me at that point. And over the past 6 months, I had to cut out caffeine. I had to cut out cannabis there for a long time. We'll get into that in just a second. But I went into. I'm just gonna pick them up here, like the
Yeah.
doctor started throwing prescription drugs at me like they were going out of style. Everything from Zoloft to Lexapro to antihistamines to stomach medicines to anything you can think of. They started just like, here, take this. This will make you feel better. And then it'll be like, well, I have this side effect now. And they'll be like, okay, well, take this for that side effect. So I got onto a couple 100 milligrams of different medicines a day, trying to sleep. And up until about a week and a half ago, I couldn't sleep at all. And I was staying up all night. If I was, what would normally be asleep for somebody was that my body was asleep, but my mind was fully awake all night. And I just started to burn out from the inside out. And so I went back to my doctor, and I told my doctor, I was like, look, the only thing that's ever helped me in my life deal with these types of nightmares is cannabis. And my first doctor that I went to was very against it. And so for about the past 2 weeks, I've been, coming off of a lot of different medications, starting new medications, but then also bringing cannabis back in. And it's been a rough ride, man. I hope nobody ever has to go through withdrawals or they have to face adversity. This is an adversity, not negative, but positive in my life, because I have to go through it. I have to get through it, and I'm going to be okay on the other side of it. But in the meantime, I still have to work. I still have to take care of my family, and I can't stop. Like you just can't stop. You have to keep going.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, man, I feel you 100%.
Yeah.
This past year for me has been one very similar, man. Like I
Yeah.
wrote a story yesterday for Thanksgiving on my Facebook post, and I just wrote it there so I could look at it a year from now and laugh at the stuff that's
Yeah.
happened over the course of the last 12 months
Yeah.
or 18 months or whatever it's been. And it's like, dude, I got to the point where I completely burned out as well, right?
Yeah.
Travel
Yeah.
is no joke.
Yeah.
And when you're just constantly in a car, you're on a plane, you don't know where you're at, you don't know what day it is, you don't know what time it is sometimes,
Yeah.
and you can just completely you wear yourself to the point where you're completely frazzled. And
Yeah.
for me, it happened back in March. And literally until just a couple weeks ago, dude, I have been just kind of trying to take it easy and doing fun projects, working with fun people,
Yeah.
trying to do more of my podcasts and stuff just to kind of get myself back to where I'm refreshed. But I
Yeah.
haven't done shit in 6 months, TJ, and
Yeah.
I needed it because I was yesterday I had Thanksgiving with David Taggart and his
Oh yeah.
family. Dave Taggart from A5.
Yeah.
Shout out to him for sure. But I had Thanksgiving with the Taggarts yesterday, and we were talking about a few things. And the number one thing that I kept thinking was, man, I'm 44 years old. And I think you
Yeah.
and I are very similar in age. You're
I
probably a
just
little bit
turned
younger than
45.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
I'm a
the
little bit
exact
older.
same age. I
Yeah.
lied a minute ago. So I'm 45. I
It's
try
okay.
to skip a couple, but
Yeah.
the way I looked at it was when I was 15 and a half and I was legally able, I went and got my first legal job, right? But
Yeah.
before that, my parents had a convenience store and I used to work in the convenience store. When I was a little boy, I would go and stock the shelves and do all that. So I've been working in some form or fashion for the majority of my life, but like
Yep.
as a legal, work, tax paying employee since 15 and a half. That's
Yeah.
30 straight years. And in there, dude, there has been times where I'm working 100 plus hours a week for like a year and a half straight.
Yep.
I'm in North Carolina and I don't even remember 2.5 years of my life that I spent there because it was just nothing but work, work, work. Burned out there, ended up just snapping and leaving. And, you know, you get to the point where you hit that. And I think it hits everybody.
Yeah.
But I didn't go for any kind of medications or anything. I felt
Right.
physically good,
Right.
but I understand the mental stress. And I wanted to ask you, you know,
Yeah.
how much of that mental burnout, the fatigue, everything contributes to the fact that you are on the road so much and you're doing so much because you're probably the busiest guy in the industry the last 12
Yeah.
months, legit.
You
So
know,
how much of that contributes to your deal, do you think?
it's been like, so it's going on 3 years that since like World's Greatest Roofer started, but really, I started to do more of what I normally wasn't doing in life, like the things that I'm doing now. Like, I started doing those about, I guess, going on just over 2 years ago, and people were warning me then. They were like, "Hey, you know, take it slow." And there'd be times that Karina would tell you that, when we first got back together, like that she would be like, you know, or I would tell her, I'd be like, when is my chance gonna come to go out here and travel the world and to see all these people? And and she was like, oh, just wait, one day it's gonna come. And that day came, and honestly, I've always been what I call a yes sir, right? Like, yes sir, I'll do this. Yes sir, or the FOMO, the fear of missing out on something big, or something that I feel like I should be at, or maybe I feel entitled that I should be at, right? Um, and uh, and also, I always promised people that I wouldn't let them down. And you know, when I first started being World's Greatest Roofer on social media, I was like, you know, I'll never change from where I started and where I'm, you know, where I came from, and I'll try to always remain as humble as possible. But traveling isn't for the weak. You know, there are a lot of people at home right now that I wish you could travel. I wish that you could go stay in hotels and go visit cool places. But when you're working, it's different. It's traveling on an airplane is cool, but if you think about it, you have to leave 2 hours, or you know, you have to wake up 3 hours, before your flight in the morning. So if you have a 5 a.m. flight, you have to be up at 2 a.m. If you, have a long flight, like from where I live in Colorado to Florida, it's almost 5 hours on an airplane, and then you spend an hour or 2 hours getting to your hotel. So just getting to where you're going to do something in the roofing industry can take you 8 to 12 hours, and in the first part of your trip. So now when you get there, and then everybody wants to go and party, they want to go have a good time, they want to go out to dinner, they want to go hang out with you until 3 4 in the morning. And you know, I love those things, so please don't ever, like, don't invite me. Don't not invite me. But you get it. Like the next day, now you have to be up at 8 a.m. in the morning to go do whatever, like, conference or event you were gonna do, and you're exhausted from the night before. But now you have a whole nother day of doing what you just did the day before, except now you have casino syndrome because you're locked inside all day, and you don't know whether or not it's day or night. And you know, you don't have those opportunities to go take a quick walk down the beach, right? And it is stressful because you're not eating the same, you're not sleeping in the same bed, your pillows aren't the same, the water's not the same when you take a shower, right? And of course, by no means am I complaining about any of my trips around the world this past few years. But what I'm getting at is that if you do decide to take a job like this, be prepared to every few weeks, like, take some time for yourself and just like relax, go be yourself, leave your phone behind somewhere, and go for a walk to clear your head. But also, you can't survive as long as I have without trying to make yourself, or give yourself some energy, or like even to rest a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's hardcore, and you're the face of everything that you go to as far as the ventures go. You're like,
Yeah,
you know, you were the face of Roofer when you were at the Roofer Road shows. You were the guy.
yeah, Yeah.
And when you're that, you are, you're held to a different standard. And
Yeah.
you're right. You have to be the guy that's accessible to everybody. And,
Yeah.
there's a certain charm to being able to just go in and be like, oh, hey, what's up, everybody? And, then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know
Right.
that TJ's got the shingle mingle 3 hours to go after that. And he's already, been working all day. And it
Yeah.
does. It's taxing. And, especially with some of the other things that go on in life, like you say, man, you have to keep moving forward. You've got to keep going.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion, especially in maybe like the last 3-4 months, that now to me at this point in life, and you and I are at a very similar stage, we're the same age.
Yeah.
I just, I went through the deal where I had Rio Blanco Roofing here in San Antonio. And back in February, we dissolved that company. My partners and I just kind of went our separate ways. I had gotten to the point where I was burned out as well, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I went and worked at Business 401 with Liz. I went to work with
Yeah.
Lee Haight for a couple months. I came back here and didn't do much. And a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to once again take over the Rio Blanco company, right?
Yeah.
And this is a crazy ass story in its own, because I moved out. We're buying the same company that's out of business, but it was out of business for a weird different reason. And we're going to do the whole thing over again in like a version 2.0. But when I got that opportunity, the first thing I thought was, okay, what is important to me?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like you, TJ. For years, I was busting my ass. I was in North Carolina working 100+ hours a week because my buddy that was with me there had young kids. And I kept thinking, well, I'll do that sometime. I want you to enjoy your family and enjoy this. And I put myself behind the 8 ball to where it becomes expected at some stage, and you're done. So my big thing was, I don't want to have any stress. Like
Yeah.
the last time I did this, the goal was 25 locations and like $50 million in revenue. And oh my God. And
Right.
I realized I had 3 offices, bro, and I'm done. Like the last 2 years were a blur, 70,000 miles a year on the road, hundreds of air flights.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it. So I
I think I
decided this
just
time I'm
reached
gonna.
flight number 108, just for like Southwest only. That's just Southwest. That's not all the rest of them.
Yeah, right. And who knows how many there are those. We lose track. I can't even tell you at this point in my life. I've probably flown millions of miles.
Right.
But my big goal was that. And I said, I don't want to be stressed. Okay. I want to do this. I want to build something of quality. I want to have good people around me, but I don't want it to snowball. I don't want to get too big, and I want to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
That is my focus. 100%. My KPIs with this are days that I get to play golf, days that I get to do my podcast, and then the roofing will be the third most important thing in that sequence. And the best thing could have happened to me. I was in Oklahoma City, probably, I guess it's been about 5 weeks ago. And are you familiar with Mike Code? Mike's
yeah,
a
I know Mike.
trainer here in the industry.
Yeah.
He's my mentor, one of my best friends on this planet. And Mike calls me from time to time and lets me travel with him and go do sales training with, various clients of his and so on and so forth. So I was in Oklahoma with Mike and my guys over at 777 Roofing, Larry Andrews and his team. And I was in the airport flying back, and I get this phone call. And my buddy, who's my business partner now, his name's Jason Shumway. He was on the podcast a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But he and I had been very loosely affiliated. We'd never met in person that I could recall. But he was one of the owners of the supply company that I used to work with. And when I went to Charlotte, we opened a branch of it. So he knew of me through all that. We became friends on social media and kind of chatted here and there, but nothing ever, really like crazy. So my phone rings at the airport there, and I'm like, Jason Shumway, I wonder what's up. We'll just chat.
Right.
It'd be like if you called me, TJ calls, we talk a couple times a year and it's cool.
Yeah.
So we strike up a conversation, and I'm telling him what's going on with this deal. And it's like, I don't want any stress, and I just want to be good. He's going through stuff in life as well. He's the same age as me. We've all kind of got the same story. And it's just like, dude, let's just do this and let's just have fun with it. Let's be partners and let's do it. So 3 weeks ago, we bought the company back. The goal this time is to not stress myself out, and I don't have any monetary goals. I'll let that all handle itself. But I think as we get older, man, we start to appreciate the peace and sanity more. And, like you just said, your decision is based on the fact that you were just going so hard that you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Um, you're going to scale back, obviously. Tell me a little bit about what the scale back looks like. Are you going to travel still? Are you going to stop completely? Are you going to just kind of
I don't
what's it look like for the next 6 months for you?
I don't think that there's a scale back. I think that currently there's a pause in action, if you will. Um, so I just can't I can't say exactly what I'm getting into. I can say that for right now, EuroShield is my biggest concern, and I won't be doing anything. Uh, well, I'm not going to say anymore, but for the time being, where I'm an employee anymore. I I loved being a business owner before roofer, and I think that I don't think, I know that I'm gonna own a business again here very soon. That's coming. So I mean, I guess that could be a like a teaser, if you will. Um,
I
but
love it.
uh, but yeah, I've been telling people for a while that I want to own the biggest roofing company in the world, and I think that with the help that I'm working with some people, that it's very possible that that will happen. And I really can't say who those people are because they've asked not to be named. But they've got the money to put into something like that. And but for the main, thing of it, all of this is to hopefully try to grow a team or something that people look towards and be like, that's the type of roofing company that I want to own, or that's the type of roofing company I want to work for, where integrity and love of the people that work there. There's no drugs. uh, I
No
mean,
prescription drugs.
or is illegal illicit drugs, right?
There
Maybe,
you go.
like illicit street drugs. Yeah, like I've worked in roofing companies like that where you go in and it's literally there are people laying everywhere that have been doing drugs all day, and it's not okay. But
It's our industry, man. There's a
yeah,
major problem there, and I
yeah.
definitely understand
But
that.
I have an ability of reaching quite a few people, and meaningful. Like when people hear me say things, like they trust that what I'm telling them is good. Like a lot of times, people might have a misconception of what I'm trying to say, or they might hate that I'm promoting a certain product. Maybe they have a friend that sells a different type of product that's similar. But all in all, like I really vet out companies that I promote, because I want, if they're giving me the best service, or I see how good of service that they're giving to the industry, I want to be a part of that as well, because those are the greatest people out there doing something good for the community, something good for the people that are coming to them with their business. And I want to be a part of things like that. And you know I'm hoping that there's an announcement on December 1st for something, but if it's not, then it's not. But I've been working towards something. But really what I'm really focused on right now is growing EuroShield. I'm getting ready to launch EuroShield into distribution in Florida. So distribution can sell it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. EuroShield needs to grow, right? EuroShield has done a great job over the past several years of getting in front of as many roofing contractors as it needs to. Now the sales need to come. And we're selling a lot of EuroShield product these past few months. It's really picked up quite a bit, but it needs to be at, like, I don't want to say any competitors' names, but it needs to be at those levels. And with Dimitri getting ready to install it on his roof, and Chase Johnson's going to install it on his antique house. Like there's a bunch of really great people who are really promoting EuroShield well out there now. And in order, like I said, in order to be a great company or grow a company, you have to have sales. And if you don't have sales, you have nothing except for a brand. and if you have to rebrand, then you don't have anything anymore. So that's where we're just trying to keep going, keep the momentum going. I'm looking forward to being in Florida next week. I'll actually be in Dallas next week as well with Mike Iman on Monday. You guys know Mike, the roofologist, or your roofologist. He's installing a roof on Monday and Tuesday, so you'll be able to see us live doing stuff with Mike next week. And then I have, Euroshield bought me 15 GoPro cameras.
Nice.
So
They know of your reputation.
yeah, they were like, "Oh, you need some cameras? Okay." And all of a sudden I got like 15 GoPros delivered to my house with battery packs, and I was like, "Holy crap."
Time
So
to
but yeah,
bust out
no.
the content.
Yeah. So now it's time to grow, and it's time to really bring it to the next level and show the world what Euroshield needs to to show. And I really appreciate opportunities like this to talk about how it's changing our industry and how it's changing the way that we sell roofs, because a lot of people will only continue to sell shingles, and that's really cool, right? I'm hoping the best for you. I know you'll make your $2,000 to $4,000 on your shingle job, and
If you're
that's great.
good.
Yeah, that's really great, right?
I mean, if
uh,
you can sell it that well. A lot of people
yeah,
don't even make that. I can
right.
trust me.
They don't like people are like 40% profit margin. Like that's what I'm trying to go after. But really, I'm also after what's best for the homeowner or the business owner and the ROI. Are they gonna change their roof once over the next 50 years, and they're gonna get that extra little bit of upgrade charge that they paid back by not having to pay a deductible every year for the next 50 years? And that's where I'm at with it. Where our material prices aren't that much more expensive than shingles. I mean, maybe a couple $100 more. But if you're putting in labor, ease of use for installation, all of those things, and the ability to make more money than a regular normal square of shingles, then why wouldn't you do that if it's going to prevent your homeowner from ever having to worry again? So,
Yeah, dude, I understand that 100%. And I'm right
yeah,
here live on Keeping It Real. And I'm coming at TJ with, I
yeah,
want to work with Euroshield in San Antonio. I want Rio Blanco to be
yeah.
your
Okay,
premium contractor here. Like
let's
when
go.
I bought this company back, my goal was not to be
Yeah,
an insurance restoration
yeah,
contractor because I don't feel like that's the way that I want to go with my future.
yeah,
I think the industry is going in a different direction completely, and I don't really want to be a part of that. So
yeah.
to separate from the pack, to do something high-end retail is my exact goal. And I
Right.
was going to ask you, like I want to be one of the guys that work with Euroshield. I want to be one of the people that promotes it as well and,
Yeah,
and helps you guys grow that brand
yeah.
because I've been very impressed with it over the years.
Right.
I remember probably maybe like three and a half years ago. I was affiliated with ASAP Roofing over in
Yeah.
East Texas, and we had Leslie, who is I guess she's like the president of Euroshield, right? She's
Well, maybe I'm misspeaking, but she's CEO now.
okay.
So,
Yeah, like she was like the
yeah.
top person.
Yeah,
That's
she's always been president, but I think her official title now is CEO. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I
El
know,
Jefe,
I think it's CEO.
the
So,
boss. And she was
lady
doing a
boss.
presentation for us through our Zoom call, and I was just super impressed with her knowledge. And I thought, you
Yeah,
know what, she really knows her stuff. I didn't know anything about Euroshield, and I still really don't.
yeah,
But I've been watching and I've been seeing how things have been, handled. You guys
right.
had the situation not that long ago where there was a
Yeah,
question about something
yeah,
and y'all addressed it head on, went out there, took care of the situation, explained it so that everything made sense to everybody. And to
yeah,
me, that was a huge, huge deal because most people don't do that. So
yeah.
my
Well,
question is,
we
can
talked
you
about it.
follow up on that a little bit?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
particular claim, how did that all play itself out, or is it still in the
yeah.
process?
Yeah, like the day that it happened, I was doing what I normally do all over social media, and I follow along. I watch everything, typically whatever I'm engaged with, it pops up on my feed first because the algorithm knows. And so I started to see the posts immediately that day when people posted about Euroshield because I had just recently gone to work for them as the Pacific Northwest rep, so I was handling Washington State, Portland, Oregon, down into Wyoming and Colorado here. And then so that day happened where that person claimed that the warranty there was a warranty issue with the roofing system and that we weren't being responsive and that we're the worst company in the world. And let me just say this, we're quick up, man, or beat products up that don't have problems with them, right? People,
Absolutely. It's the roofing.
yeah,
That's how we do it. We attack
people want
first
to
and then
beat up
find out
good
later.
things and to find out if they're resilient or not, or if they'll bounce back, or if the cancel culture is real on that product. But so sorry, my
Oh,
kids are
good.
going outside. They're going to a birthday party next door. So,
Nice.
well, they'll end up sick or something. I don't know. But no, the resiliency of a business depends on people's reviews and their social proof, right? So that day, we got a lot of hate from people out there that wanted us to fail, right? And they wanted to see our product have something wrong with it. And in some instances, until we could actually really have a look and see what was going on, and we could actually touch it, and we were trying to figure out what was going on too, because that it wasn't something that was a fading issue. A lot of people they think that Euroshield will fade, it'll crack, it'll curl over a number of years. Those are the first couple of things I always hear. Does it smell? Does it crack? Does it fade? And does it curl, right? And I always tell people no to all the above. Our product actually gets darker in time. So when we realized that this solar attic vent was, right up towards the ridge line, all of this discoloration was coming from where this attic vent was, like something, we just had to figure it out. And so I was there the whole day. I did videos, I did droning, I did all of the things with Matt Mulholland. Chase Johnson was there. We talked with the homeowners. We were there for hours, and we did more that day than I think that any company would do for a warranty claim, just because we were getting so much flack from behind it. But here's something that that I'll say about how you should be handling things in your own business, right? I was listening to, I won't say who I was listening to. I was listening to $100 million company. Let's just put it like that, right? And I saw a clip of this $100 million company talking about how they did so well, and one of the things that that they were talking about was being a good firefighter. And what I mean by being a good firefighter is that when there's an issue, whether it be just a smoke alarm, now you need to go figure out why there's smoke and put that smoke out quick before it becomes a small fire. If it's a small fire, now, oh shit, you got to put that thing out before it becomes a big fire. And if it's a big fire and it's all the there, now you got, oh my god, it's going to be a horrible day, because now there's this huge fire. But if you would have taken that preventive maintenance at the beginning, with the communication, with the understanding, with the empathy, all of the things that good businesses do, like, you can really change the outcome of the event. Or you could do all of the right things and still have a rogue ex roofer talking shit about something he doesn't know about. But
Imagine that.
right.
It doesn't
But
happen.
yeah, but if you're a roofer out there and you're dealing with a manufacturer, I'm not saying you shouldn't be mad, but you should do everything at all costs to make sure that you're talking about the right things too, because like those homeowners, they love our product, and all of the people that do install our product actually fall in love with it as well. So make sure that you're not demonizing the product that might be on these people's houses for the next 50 years and cause them to have some sort of mental anguish about it, because they're going to think about it even though it's probably nothing. They're going to think about it for the rest of their lives as if it is something major, like, oh my god, don't worry about that small house, small thing on the house, where people probably wouldn't recognize it. But always come up with a solution as well, that makes everybody happy at the end of the day, And like I said, just be part of the follow up and put, we don't always need a fire department to put out the fires as long as we have a good communicator up front.
I think that's the biggest thing that people screw up is the way that they handle situations. And I
Yeah,
always tell people, the homeowner, the client, whoever it may be, they're going to mimic your
yeah,
actions. If your house is on fire and I'm standing there going, "Oh, don't worry about it, Mrs. Jones. This happens all the time."
right,
She's going to be a lot more calm than if I'm freaking out. "Oh my God, your house is on fire." She's
yeah,
she's probably going to panic at that stage too. So
yeah,
always be very calm, even if in your mind you're thinking, "Oh shit, like I don't know what I'm going to do here to handle this," but
right,
it's setting those expectations. The homeowners that you had, that was the next question.
yeah,
Obviously you guys flew out there, you're paying
yeah,
attention to it, you're hitting it head on.
yeah,
Did they have those feelings before you got there? Obviously, I'm sure they probably did because they're not sure about what's going on. It's like, well, great. Maybe
yeah,
they won't even show up. Maybe we'll get screwed. But throughout that process, how was how were the homeowners? How was their reaction to it? Are
yeah.
they completely satisfied with everything and they don't have any concerns about anything moving forward at all?
No, so as a matter of fact, Leslie had spent several days there prior to that post. Like, so she had been in Birmingham, like 3 days
Wow.
prior to the post happened on a Saturday, and Leslie had just gotten home from being there, dealing with the roofing contractor, dealing with the homeowners, and everything was squared away until that post, right? And so we had been there with our warranty manager, coming up with options, trying to let them know that, hey, what we thought about was switching the area around that ventilation to an area that had already weathered, so that way we weren't, like having to reinstall new shingles that might take a little bit longer to weather. So where maybe on a hip where you couldn't see it, or another part of the field that had already weathered, we can move it up to that peak and then it be on a portion where it's not so visible while it weathers itself out too, especially being under that solar attic vent. And But we had given tons of options as what it is that they wanted, and they had chosen not to do anything. And the homeowner, even when we did the interviews live with them in person, they were like, hey, look, we didn't want this, negative publicity for your shield. We never asked for it. We love our roof. We don't want them to change anything, and at the end of the day, the homeowner, all they really wanted was to know that they were going to be taken care of if there was something wrong with the roof. So we ended up giving them a 50-year guarantee, saying, we guarantee that there's nothing wrong with this roof at all, and we'll evaluate again in the near future if we think that we need to do something different. But for right now, the roof is shedding water properly. It's ventilating properly. They just have a very, very large house, and it's
That's a
they
problem.
they're sucking a lot of air out of that they have a cavity, an attic cavity inside the second story of the house that was about 6,000 square feet, just the attic
Oh,
cavity.
wow.
So, it's like it was so huge, like they're just trying to get as much hot air out of that house. And the guy, we were like, hey, we'll shut off your power attic vent for you, so that way it's not blowing down, or even we could put something in it to blow the air up. And the guy was like, no, don't touch it. My electric bill is $650 a month. We don't need to change this out anymore. I want my power attic vent there. So
Absolutely. And
yeah, we
about
were
five
like, yes,
more of them,
sir.
please.
Right. He's
Goodness.
like, I put that there. I researched how great it is. And shout out to GAF. I think it was a GAF solar attic vent, which is great. But yeah, he wanted that vent, and that thing was pushing, and it was pushing 80 degrees. It was constantly running, being in that Alabama humidity and heat right there well, I mean, it's not far from, South Texas. But yeah, it ended up being, that we still talk to those homeowners. I think they became Your Shield celebrities by accident. But their house is beautiful, and we're selling a lot more product all over that southeast market. not just because of that, but because of the knowledge. Like they always say, not everything is positive, but it still sells, right? So
Yep.
even the negativity helped us gain some momentum in that area because of maybe people that didn't even know who we were, or that we were installing it in those markets. And over the past 2 months or 3 months since I've been at what happened? Chuck, there you are.
My
Hey,
bad.
no, it's
You
all
got
good,
me?
man. Yeah, I got you. I can hear you.
I don't even see me. Okay, what have I done here? Where's my camera? Hold up.
It's all good, but I'll keep talking there for a minute.
Yeah, I
So,
knocked something over and
yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, it ended up being something good, and we're gonna be okay from it. We've sent out just over 700 samples in the past 2 months with literature and pricing, and roofers are really starting to reach out to us to talk about it, and to find out how they can sell it. And that's, like I said, I'm trying something new in the Florida market over the next several months, where distribution hopefully will be willing to get involved more and more with us after we meet with them next week.
dude, why is my camera not working? I'm freaking out over here, but I'm paying attention. This is just
Yeah.
start cam. How about if I hit start?
Yeah, there you
Oh, why don't I hit the button that says start the camera and see what happens, TJ?
go.
My bad. I knocked something over. I got all weird there. That was a
That's okay.
strange kind of moment there. But I
Yeah.
appreciate you being a true professional.
Yeah, no,
Anybody other than the world's
we've all
greatest roofer and social media guy would have been completely lost there, but you maintained it
oh,
like a
man.
champ.
I've been live more hours than most people can say that they've been on social media in their life. So, just go with the flow, and it'll come back when it's ready.
Absolutely. And sometimes you just have to hit the button. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And dude, you and I made a guarantee that we were not going to talk roofing. So we're
Yeah.
42 minutes in. I think we've talked roofing for like 38 of those minutes. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you're in Denver, you're in the Colorado area, and you
Yeah.
love it there.
Yeah.
But I often see you talking about the times when you're going to be relocating to
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your plan to move to Florida. Why
Yeah.
why Florida? Why not stay in Denver? What's going on with that? And what's
Yeah.
your future look like there?
Everybody has an opportunity to move in life, right? And or to change the scenery, or to find what makes them happiest most in this world.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get a little philosophical on you guys, but I was a police officer most of my adult life, in the beginning parts of my adult life, and I was married to a woman who didn't support my love for going outside of the community that we lived in. I always said that you can't take a small town girl out of a small town. And if you do take a small town girl out of a small town, you're going to have nothing but headaches and problems after you take her out, because then she's always going to want to go back, or life is not the same living in a big town or a big city versus a small town. But I've lived here in Denver going on 9 years. Kareen and I have officially, well, I guess we're going on 5 years here in a couple of weeks, which is crazy. I mean, we went through our relationship issues in the beginning too, but we've like I traveled to Florida so much over the past 2 years that Florida just when let's just change it. When Hurricane Ian hit, my love for Florida changed instantly when I saw how devastated it became. And I know that might sound sick, or whatever, but me and Matt Mulholland and Joshua Gless were driving around Southwest Florida with galosh boots on, with people's houses that were completely underwater, where you couldn't even see the ridge line, and living through 12 and a half hours of one of the worst hurricanes to ever hit the United States was I guess in and of itself PTSD, but also just like for me, I just couldn't wait to get back there. So now every time I go to Florida, I feel like Florida's home. And I know that Karina, we went there on vacation, and she's been there before, but Karina's from South America, and her family lives in Paraguay, and so like it's easy for her family to get to Miami than it is to fly South America to Brazil to Colombia to Miami, now to Denver for 5 hours later. And but still at the same time, when I was a kid, I grew up on the East Coast. I got to go to the beach. I got to play year-round baseball. I got to be outside most of the time. And my kids are getting big. And I say they're getting big, they're getting older. And the opportunities that they have here are really great, right? For Colorado, but for 7 months out of the year, you're inside, and you don't get to go outside and hang out and do all of the fun things that you would normally do if you were in a place that's warm most of the year. And I'm not saying that you can't have a great life living in other places. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I want the opportunity to live in a nice house with a channel behind my house where I can put my boat in and go fishing. And I see Karina right there. She's in there in the chat now. We are ready for that beautiful Sunshine State.
Oh
She's
yeah.
listening. And our kids deserve that of us. They want to live there as well. But let's just talk about like the craziness of life. And both Karina and I have partners, ex-partners, or ex baby mama, ex baby daddies that have drug and alcohol issues. And if you deal with an ex parent of one of your children that is going through that, and has never changed over the life of the child, they're never gonna change anytime soon, right? And if they're still going through it is what I mean. Now, if they've not tried to stop, they've not tried to get help, and they've not tried to do the right things by their child first, it's going to be almost impossible. And now I say that from years of experience with both of my kids, because both of my sons are my sons now, right? I say that like Orion is my kid, Oakley is my son, and it doesn't matter that they have a different mom or a different dad. They're both my kids, and I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make sure that they have a healthy living environment, and I'm going to raise them like they should be raised. But you get put through the ringer if you're a parent trying to protect your kid, especially by parents who feel entitled, like they should, right? Every parent should feel like they love their kid, but most of the time when you're fighting with another significant other, it's more about the two people fighting instead of the kids. And I want to make sure that they're not just trying to win because they're trying to get back at me or get back at Karina, or if you're going through this fight, right? Like, make sure that you're documenting everything. Make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to. The phone calls, the supervised visitations, the whatever the judge says that you should be doing, and keeping track of all of the things that the other parent's not doing. Whether it be that they owe $22,000 in child support, or whatever the case may be. Like, we have receipts is what we like to say, of all of the things that the other parent says that we don't do. And we really want our kids to maybe see a different part of the world, instead of like although Oakley knows that his mom is just down the street, maybe we can separate that thought process a little bit, like him knowing that she's just down the street and she's not reaching out. Or Orion's dad is just down the street, literally, and he can't even set up a visit on a weekend, right? And now we'll say, okay, we'll give them the opportunity to every quarter or every 6 months show up, or go the fuck away, right? And
Yep.
that's what you have to do for your kids. And they're like, I've seen some other people, I'm not going to mention their names because respectfully I have love for them, but there's a lot of people in our industry that go through this, and I was one of those dads, up until 3 years ago next month until the cops called me that day. If I would not have been prepared that day to take on my son, what would have happened to him? And where would he be today if I wasn't ready? And you always have to be ready to go because you never know when lightning is going to strike, or something that you never thought possible would happen, and you have to step in there and be a full-time parent. And the thing that you can do the most for your kids right now is just love them unconditionally, and do your part every day to be the man or the woman that you need to be a good parent to them, even if you're not next to them.
Yeah, and okay, this brings up the next
Yeah,
question I was going to
yeah,
ask you, because I know you've been going through a lot of
yeah,
that stuff behind the scenes while you're still traveling, while you're
yeah,
still representing EuroShield, while you're
yeah.
still representing Roofer, while you're still on the road.
Right.
Okay, so tell me about this dynamic. Number one, you're fighting, and the thing I love about you the most is you are not afraid to make this public, and you put your
Yeah,
stuff out there so people know what's going on, and
yeah,
and we follow because we care.
yeah,
And I see that you're having all these struggles and you're fighting, and it's like, mom didn't show up, and
yeah,
you got some good news. But what does the dynamic look like now? Okay, you're a full-time father, like you said, you've got full
yeah.
custody. You're there, you're in a relationship that's got a similar scenario. So the two kids are probably bonded together through
Oh
this
yeah,
experience. They're probably brothers, and
oh
loving
yeah.
each other the whole way.
Well, they've got Sophia now too, which makes them brothers by
There
blood,
you go.
because
Now they're
Sophia
now they're
got
ready
both
to
of
fight
them.
for their little sister too.
Right,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and she comes into your life, and I can just clearly see every time that you show a picture with her, and you're just bright, dude. Like that's the
yeah,
apple of your eye, and it's very clear.
yeah,
So, number one, when you have to go on the road and you're going to be gone for 3, 4, 5 days at a row,
yeah,
what does it look like at home? How does everybody deal with that situation? How do you handle being away from your family for such periods of
yeah,
time? And, what does that look like? Because you got full
right,
custody. You're obviously doing the right thing, and you're a parent
yeah,
that's giving everything you've got, but I don't know how much
yeah.
more TJ is left to give at this point.
I come home really drained, and it's not the best, but we'll start off by saying this. I could not do it at all without Karina, right? Like she definitely is the backbone of our family. And like when I started to travel, we made an agreement that she didn't need to work if she didn't want to. She still chooses to do things with her real estate, that sometimes I don't agree with, if I don't think that the sale is going to be worth it, those all those pride things, right? But I still look at her and I know that she tries real hard to do really well for herself. And we're in a really bad market with real estate right now anyways. But she is definitely the family support system here. She makes sure that the kids do what they're supposed to do. They go to school every day. She's the person that it's not a babysitter. It's like being a full-time mom of some badass kids. So she does a really great job of making sure that they're taken care of. And when I'm on the road, like, there's always been like, of course, people always think of trust being an issue, and trust isn't an issue in our relationship because she knows that. And I might have said this before, and I don't think I said it disrespectfully, but uh if I ever wanted to go cheat on you, there's about 400,000 other women out there right now that would probably say yes. So I don't need to do
It's a
that.
good problem to have.
Right. But at the same time, I also don't need to just go and ruin my life, with one of those people who don't have my back like she does. And again, I couldn't do what I do today without her, and she knows that. But at the same time, she respects that I have these goals and these dreams to help as many people as possible. And she makes sure that I take care of my kids, and I still am dad. And well, until one of the other days, Sophia was like, "Bye, TJ," and I was like, "Fuck," you know. but
Yeah. Huh.
but I don't think she meant it anyway. But when your daughter says that to you, you have to like take a second.
It
So
was purely innocence, but yes,
yeah,
I understand what you mean, because you take that split second and you think, oh man,
yeah,
is all this worth it? And
yeah,
ultimately, I'm sure it is.
yeah,
I love the fact that you've kind of stepped back a little bit and
yeah,
decided to take care of yourself.
yeah,
I didn't want to leave this show without really hitting on this a little bit, but you
yeah,
talked about the prescriptions that you were put on,
yeah,
and you mentioned that one of your doctors was very against you using cannabis
yeah,
for your benefit.
yeah.
Now,
I
let me ask that. What is your
yeah.
take on that? Because to me, I think that is that's borderline like malpractice, in my opinion. I mean, what do you think
Especially
about
coming
that
from
opinion?
Colorado, right?
Right?
Well, what I've found over the years of dealing with doctors and just all over the place is like wherever you go, there's going to be a different view of. Excuse me for a second. There's a different view of cannabis since 2015, right? Since legalization happened here in Colorado, and then legalization happened in California and other places. But doctors have kind of taken their stance as to what they want to see when it comes to a patient. Um, and I've always gone to Christian doctors, or I've gone to Christian hospitals or whatever. And those doctors are very against substances, right? Especially being one, a Christian doctor, and two, it being something that's always been illegal. And so when I went to my doctor with the issues of the panic disorder, the general anxiety disorder, the PTSD, um, that doctor was one of those Christian doctors, but also at the same time was very against mixing serotonin inhibitors with cannabis, which is also a serotonin inhibitor, which if anybody knows about having a serotonin syndrome, meaning you have too much of it in your body, it basically causes you to have a stroke. You can, right? I'm not a medical doctor, so please don't take my advice here. But that doctor was very worried about that because I was taking Zoloft, I was taking Wellbutrin, I was taking Zoloft again in the afternoon, I was taking an antihistamine in the evening. So there, like, if you saw me with like my skin was shiny the past 6 months, it was because I was taking antihistamines that were drying the shit out of my face. But everybody was against the cannabis when I kept begging for the cannabis. Like, I was like, "Hey, look, like, I know how to solve my sleep problem right now if you let me have cannabis. But I need you to say that it's gonna be okay if I do this." And so I chose to go to a different doctor this past week or 2 weeks ago. And I said, "Look, you're giving me this, you're giving me this, you're giving me this, but all of those drugs are like to combat a side effect of me not being able to sleep because of the drug I'm on." And I said, I never had a problem sleeping up until I started taking these drugs. And so the doctor was like, look, cannabis is a great option for you. We need to wean you off of these antidepressants that you're on and these other drugs, and see about how cannabis can be reintroduced back into your life. So I've started taking just one antidepressant a day now, or anti-anxiety medicine, not antidepressant, anti-anxiety medicine. And I'm able to utilize cannabis again at night. And last night was the first night that I actually slept probably 10 hours straight without having to worry about having a dream or a nightmare that was like I could literally write a book every night after my sleep about what happened in my dreams for 8 hours. And last night I actually didn't. And Karina, when we woke up this morning, she's like, I think you slept last night because I slept. So it wasn't like I was awake all night on my phone trying to figure out why I couldn't sleep. But no, like here's the advice that I'd give you. If you need to take medicine for whatever it is that you need to take medicine for, and it's helping you, by all means do what the doctor says to do and take your medicine. But there are a lot of people out there that will let you know that more natural healing efforts are available. And if you can take those, take those. But for the meantime, I'm gonna try to continue to get better. Like we said at the beginning of the hour, I've been going through these withdrawals now. Going on, what's today? Is today Friday? I've been
It's
going through it
Friday.
for 8 days straight. I've been going through withdrawals, and I know that it's not much longer that I'll have to go through this. This too shall pass, but I'll feel better when I feel better, but I also will be better all over for my kids and my family, and then what's for me as well.
Yep, and that's what it's all about, my friend. I
Yeah,
think that this has been a year where a lot of us have kind of come to terms with the fact that some people were right when they told us we were going to run into a brick wall eventually at some stage if we kept running like that. And the fact that we're all still here and everybody's going to be all right and good
yeah,
is a wonderful blessing because,
yeah,
like you said, I know a lot of people that haven't made it this far. And I think we've still got a lot to do, man. I still got a lot of podcasts and a lot of golf and a lot of roofing stuff to do. You've still got to go build the biggest roofing company ever known on the face of the earth. So,
yeah,
got to be in good spirits and good health for
yeah,
that. And I'm glad to see that you're getting to where you're feeling better. When
yeah,
we talked at the roofer event just a couple weeks ago, man, I could kind of tell that like
yeah,
you were worn down and you were at the
yeah,
end of the cycle. And I just, you look so much better right now than
yeah.
just what
Thank
was
you.
that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And I'm super happy to see that. I'm thankful for you taking time out on
yeah,
your
man.
Friday, even when you're not feeling well, to talk to me.
Yeah.
You're
Well, I
you're one of
needed
my
to get
best
out of
buddies in
bed.
this game. So yeah, and I'm glad that Keeping It Real was the
Yeah,
vehicle that you chose to drive in
yeah.
today.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
it's really great, and Chuck, thank you for having me again, and I'm gonna probably go eat some dinner and then go back to bed for the next 24 hours. But
good.
I got to travel on Monday, so if I see you out in Dallas, or not just you, but anybody watching, say hi to me. Or if you're in Florida over the next week, let me know. I'd love to come out to your office and say hello. But yeah, don't worry about me. I'd like to just let you guys all know that if you're going through something like this, talk about it with other people, because they're also probably going through something similar, or they know somebody that's just like you. So just keep in mind that you're not alone out there, and talking about the hard part is okay to do.
Yep, that's something we're all learning as we go. And
Yeah,
I think this hour's been equally beneficial for me. Just
yeah,
some of the stuff that we talked about is stuff that's been on my heart for a while. So I
yeah, man.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Everybody that watches Keeping It Rio, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you to roofer.com, my sponsor. I love you guys to death, and I appreciate everything that Roofer does for me. TJ, thank you again for taking the time out to be
yeah.
here. And until next time, y'all, we'll see you.